So the PS5 has been out for just over 2 years, and yet some of you are just getting your hands on one now.
So excited! So excited!
It can be hard and overwhelming to decide what games to spend your hard-earned cash on. Well, don't worry, because today we will be going through the top 10 must-play open world games on the PS5. Hey everyone, Love Gaming Retro is back with another top must-play episode. Oh, and stick around to the end of the video as we will be finding out what other great open world games are coming soon.
Oh my god!
For us to spend even more money on that we don't have.
That'll be $10,428.22.
I don't have any money.
Why didn't you tell me that?
You didn't ask.
So let's make a start with number 10.
Blast that accursed typhoon for turning all the humans into stone, corrupting the demigods, and taking over our beautiful island!
Immortals Fenyx Rising. I'd consider this game as a hidden gem or underdog to what it provides, which is why it can easily be missed when searching for a game on the shelves. This is a third-person fantasy RPG game built on an impressive open world filled with fluid combat, puzzle solving, humour, and what may seem quite basic but has a brilliant story to follow with some great cutscenes in the mix. You play as Phoenix, a Greek hero or demigod, which you can fully customize. The aim of the game is to remove the corruption spread by Typhon, who escaped from the underworld with the assistance of the Greek gods of Olympus, once you get to release them from their stone-like state, one by one from completing the main quests connected to the story. This game is filled with many fearsome monsters including Cyclopses, Harpies and Minotaurs that you get to battle against, collect many weapons, gain new skills and god powers, and also the ability to upgrade your strength and customize your armor. This game really focuses on much of the accuracy of Greek mythology, and the narrative of the story is filled with plenty of humor between Zeus and Prometheus, who are the main storytellers throughout the whole game. With this game being developed by Ubisoft, you can expect two things. One, there are many similarities with the Assassin's Creed games, from map designs, upgrades, level system, length of the main story, mixed with some pointless side quests to help you level up. As well as the art style of the game is heavily compared to being like Zelda Breath of the Wild, as well as some of the puzzles you need to attempt. If you ask me, having a game being compared to Assassin's Creed and a Zelda game isn't necessarily a bad thing, and this game does provide its own experience as well as its similarities, and with the PS5 getting the 60 FPS mode for this game, it brings as much more polished experience than you can imagine. Moving on to number 9.
No one on this island is allowed to say that word!
Did he say Cyclops? Did it hurt your feelings?
I don't like it when people call me that!
I didn't. But you're so fat. I mean, big, strong, and you really do only have one eye.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but with the PS5 update. Yes, another open world Ubisoft game based on Greek mythology. Well, kind of, as it's based more on ancient Greece to be specific. You get the choice of controlling Alexios or Cassandra, a Spartan mercenary who fights on both sides of the conflict in the war between Sparta and Athens, as you attempt to find your family and take down the mysterious cult of Cosmos. Although yes, this has common similarities with other Assassin's Creed games, from map designs, leveling up systems, and inventory filled with tens, if not feels like hundreds of weapons, from daggers, swords, axes, and bow and arrows and much more. I managed to put in around 150 hours in this game, with following the main story. However, you will need to complete some side quests to level up faster, and to help you defeat those mercenaries, especially when they come all at once. There are times when I would just spend time wandering this magnificent open world this game provides, with how beautiful the scenery is, which helps you really paint the scene for how amazing ancient Greece must have looked like. Although some tasks can potentially get slightly repetitive, with taking down leaders and picking up loot in this game is also jam-packed with a magnificent combat style, mixed with several special abilities which enhance your combat experience, as well as great yet challenging boss fights, including the war quests can be extremely challenging but so satisfying once you win. This game also provides several twists that you do not expect, and one thing I love is how emotional some of the cutscenes in this game are. It really helps you connect with the characters and helps you see out this game to the end without feeling forced. I also think it's important that the Greek language is in this game, as it gives that original feeling which brings even more depth to the game. Moving on to number 8.
A good sign. He's usually camouflaged.
Cyberpunk 2077. I know you're thinking, bugs, bugs, and more bugs, with the awful launch this game had, but now it's been updated with several patches. You can now finally enjoy a fun and polished experience Cyberpunk 2077 brings. This game revolves around V, an outlaw mercenary who goes after a one-of-a-kind implant that is the key to immortality. You will take control of V, a character that's completely customizable. Everything from its body type, voice, and even backstory can be personalized to a player's liking. The game will also feature a full melee combat system that includes mechanics such as blocking and parrying, and one such melee weapon is the Mantis Blade, which is shown in the walkthrough video, that allows players to scale walls. This game is filled with a heavy emphasis on gunplay combat, and players are able to form meaningful connections with other characters, as well as going for one-night stands if you wanted to. Overall, this is a great open world game for you to dive into and enjoy. Moving on to number 7.
You do know I can still see you, right?
8 years of this insolence.
Oh, for me? You shouldn't have!
Marvel Spider-Man. This game, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered puts you in the spandex of the web crawler as he lives a double life of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, while trying to keep New York safe from crime, of course. This game provides a great story and excellent combat, and of course if you're a huge Marvel fan like myself, that's just an even more reason to dive into this game. Insomniac Games have created a beautifully realized version of New York, with tall buildings, great vistas to behold while you get around the city, and the web swinging feels fantastic, especially if you have that PS5 DualSense controller. Thanks to the momentum you have and various tricks you can pull off to gain speed, this controller gives you exactly what you need for a better experience. Spider-Man has a range of gadgets at his disposal, as he uses electric webs, tripwires, and web bombs to make a group of enemies stuck. The combat allows you to string together a variety of moves, including striking from the air or using webs to swing objects at foes. If you prefer more of a stealth mode combat system, you can do just that, as Spider-Man uses his reflexes to get the drop on enemies and do silent takedowns from the shadows. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment if you love reviews and news on PlayStation games, as it will continue helping this channel grow. Moving on to number 6.
Who are these jerks that think they can just beat up innocent people?
Crap! It's Spider-Man!
Marvel Spider-Man, but this time Miles Morales. The story picks up 1 year after the events of Marvel Spider-Man for PS4, which obviously is now remastered for the PS5. That game saw Peter Parker protecting New York City from a variety of criminals, superpowered and non-powered alike. Within the game, Miles meets Peter, and they quickly become friends. Although this is a short game, which could have been considered a DLC, this did become its own game, and I believe that's exactly what should have happened. At the end of Spider-Man, Miles reveals to Peter that he has powers. The latter does the same and made this spin-off brilliant. Miles and his mother Rio have moved to East Harlem and she is running for local office. And this is again another open world game where you must master your new skills, including bioelectric venom blasts and camouflage powers. Of course, it wouldn't be a Spider-Man game without performing amazing acrobatics across the New York City too. In addition to new skills, this game introduces gadgets which make combat more versatile. Both abilities and gadgets are evolved utilizing a skill tree system, becoming more powerful as you progress through the game. From web slinging to aerial combos, Morales' gameplay will feel familiar but with plenty of new tools in the kit. Specifically, Miles will have his camouflage ability to sneak up on enemies, and his bioelectric venom will be able to really put the hurt on the bad guys. Moving on to number 5.
You're not errant vanguardsman. I will move only when the captain
When
says...
I've cleared out all the bristlebacks, which I have. Captain's orders.
So they're okay.
Banged up, but breathing. And waiting up ahead for you.
Horizon Forbidden West. This game has been a great, if not amazing addition to the Horizon franchise. Set in a post-apocalyptic world where feral machines roam like beasts and dinosaurs, the seeds of a new civilization has emerged and begun to rebuild. Aloy, emerged as humanity's champion in Zero Dawn, is now back to unlock new mysteries in Forbidden West as she journeys towards the wreckage of the American West Coast. The game has expanded on Aloy's suite of abilities and equipment to show that she's a more competent and experienced fighter. The machines, meanwhile, have gotten their own upgrades, with an emphasis on better AI and traversal tools that will let them jump, climb, swim, and look for shortcuts to head you off. Aloy obtains a grapple mechanic for traversal when you encounter enemies. You'll be able to also sneak up on them, but enemies will remember where they saw you and start to search if you're not where they expected to find you. Once you are in open combat, you'll be able to build up resonator energy in your spear. That energy can be released in a blast that will stick energy to your enemies, and then you can strike that spot with an arrow for an even bigger burst of damage. This game has been a great successor from Zero Dawn, and we may potentially get another Horizon game coming in the future. And no, I'm not talking about the VR game that's just coming out with recent trailers being shown. Now on number 4. Death Stranding. This game might not be for everybody, but this game is set in the United States following a cataclysmic event which caused destructive creatures to begin roaming the earth. Players control Sam Porter Bridges, which is acted by Norman Reedus. You are a courier tasked with delivering supplies to isolated colonies and reconnecting them via a wireless communications network. Death Stranding is an action game set in an open world. You'll be tasked again with delivering supply cargo to various isolated cities known as knots, as well as isolated researchers and survivalists, while also connecting them to a communication system known as the Chiral Network. The player is evaluated by the company and recipients based on their performance, including via likes similar to social networks, including whether the cargo was delivered and if it is intact, among other factors. These merits are in turn used to level up the player's statistics, such as stability and weight capacity, and increase their standing with individual locations and characters, which can improve rewards. How cargo is packed by the player and the overall weight being carried affects Sam's ability to navigate through the environment. This game being set in the apocalyptic United States, where a cataclysmic event known as the Death Stranding, caused by invisible creatures known as Beached Things, or BTs. I mean, they could have thought of a better name than Beached Things, but there you go. As players expand the coverage of the Chiral Network, they can access maps of areas and use blueprints to produce consumable items and structures with the portable Chiral Constructor. a device similar to a 3D printer, including ropes, bridges and power generators used for charging battery-powered equipment. The network is also used as the basis for the game's online functionality, where players can leave supplies, structures and messages that can be viewed and used by other players. And let's not forget that in this game, you have the responsibility of looking after a baby. Now that also does interest me personally, as I have just had a new little baby boy in my life. I don't know about you, but I do love a cup of coffee. And to support this channel going forward and to help me make this my full-time job, please click the link below in the description and support me with buying me a coffee and making me a full-time YouTuber. Moving on to number 3. Elden Ring. Most likely one of the most biggest open world games you can possibly play, with tens if not hitting 100 hours of gameplay for enjoying such a beautiful world mixed with an interesting story, brilliant combat, mechanics, magical powers and full customization experience to give you what was a huge contender of Game of the Year for this year. The game is set in the Lands Between, which is split into 6 major areas, each of which is ruled by a demigod. Certain areas will be blocked off from players at the start, but players will have the freedom to approach areas how they want and tackle the demigod bosses in any order you choose. Players will be able to fast travel across the map, and you'll also be able to get the opportunity to ride around on horseback and can jump as well. What's more, enemies can be found stumbling around the Lands Between, and larger enemies like dragons can randomly appear, and you'll be able to encounter them while exploring this amazing open world. Resources can also be gathered to craft new items for combat or consumption. This game features NPC quests as well as several bosses to take on, and the game includes multiplayer co-op, PvP and invasions, and it does allow players to summon in fights as well. Elden Ring has bonfire-like checkpoints known as Sites of Grace. These checkpoints can be found throughout the Lands Between. An array of guiding light can spring off Sites of Grace, showing players where to go next. However, what I love about this game is that these lights can actually be followed or ignored, and you can sort of do your own thing whenever and however you like, which also makes this open world game much more open world than open world really is. Moving on to number 2.
What happened?
Monsters! Monsters from the swamp! Folks said the road was fraught with peril, but I wouldn't listen. Got my comeuppance now.
Less moaning, more details. What happened, and how can I help? And remember, I don't work for free.
The Witcher 3 PS5 update. The next-gen update for CD Projekt Red's open world RPG boasts a range of improvements and additions over 5 whole years after the original game's release. The developer has brought some highly requested features to the upgrade, which boasts graphical boosts, gameplay modifications, and much more. Remember that it's completely free and you only need to own the base game to get the update. The next gen update will make the game look a lot better and more modern. Improvements include improved grass, and nearly all of the foliage assets have been reworked. The majority of the textures have been changed and upgraded to a higher resolution as well. This game offers a 60 FPS performance mode and a 30 FPS ray tracing mode that upscales the image to produce a 4K output with dynamic resolution scaling. In simple words, everything is going to look better regardless of what mode you choose. Haptic feedback is now here for The Witcher 3 on the PS5, which just adds to bringing a great all-round combat experience. There's also a new quest based on the Netflix series, which I loved by the way, as well as some weapons and new armor. And last but not least, let's move on to number 1.
You were brave to protect your brother. Sometimes our only choice is to walk away from everything we know.
Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was a long-awaited action RPG game from Sucker Punch Productions. The game was inspired by true events in Japanese history and is set in the late 13th century on Tsushima Island. You get to control Jin Sakai, one of the island's last samurai, as he learns the way of the ghost, which is a unique combat style in an effort to drive back the invaders. You will learn the path of the ghost, a fighting style similar to that of a ninja, in order to defeat General Khotan Khan of the Mongol Empire and drive back his armies. This game features two distinct fighting styles that Jin can use: Samurai, a precision-based battle system of parries and dodges, and Ghost, a stealth-based fighting style that he will gradually learn as the story progresses. Introduce the game's customization options and how different armors affect your chosen playstyle. Besides armor, players can also equip Jin with Omamori charms, which feature different buffs that will give him an edge in battle. Players will also have the ability to manipulate elements in the world, including wind direction, lighting, and even particle effects. One feature I particularly love is that you can play the game in either colour or in black and white, and I must say the black and white feature does bring its own vibe to the game, which is worth a try. Now that we have gone through the top 10 open world must play games on the PS5, let's focus on some amazing open world games that are coming our way with a confirmed date in 2023. First off, we have Hogwarts Legacy on the 10th of February 2023, and as far as I'm concerned, the pre-order is already available and you do get some very cool collectible items with the pre-order bonus. Then we have Final Fantasy 16, and although I've not been a huge Final Fantasy fan, I am absolutely looking forward to this, as it's been told by the directors that this will push the PS5 to its limits. This is coming out on the 22nd of June 2023. And we have another game with a confirmed date, with Dead Island 2 coming out on the 28th of April 2023. Now this looks like another great zombie open world game that I'm looking forward to. Let's move over to comment of the day from my gaming partner Love Gaming Neutro, who said, "Best video yet, bro. Loved it and all those games I've played and I love. You've made me want to get back into Hades until the Witcher 3 update comes. Keep it up. Glad my video got you jumping back into Hades." That's all from me. Subscribe and stay tuned, as I will be discussing another similar topic next week. Stay with Love Gaming Retro for much more reviews and news, all for you.